The SEC versus Ripple lawsuit has been a major topic of conversation among members of the entire crypto ecosystem since the lawsuit was first filed by the US Securities and Exchange Commission in 2020. 3 years later, the final verdict from the court is still in the works. Recently, the community laid out their viewpoints on how the recent ruling by Judge Torres could affect the Ripple versus SEC case. In particular, Bill Morgan, a Ripple supporter based in Australia, spoke on Judge Torres's order on sealing requests. So, this is an interesting one. We're going to jump down into kind of what we think is going on here, what the community are talking about, and then obviously reflect back on the price action as well. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe. And in doing so, you will stay up to date with all of the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Above and beyond those things, though, make sure you join us down in our Discord server, linked in the description down below. It's completely free. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's the first place that we go to notify everybody of everything that is going on in the crypto space. So why not check it out? Link in the description below. Let's jump right into this one, right? So, District Judge Torres of the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York ruled that the SEC will not be able to seal documents associated with William Hinman's speech. By now, many of you guys will know that this has been going on, and there's been a backwards and forwards between the SEC, Ripple, and of course the judge, trying to get these documents, these emails, these speeches, or the documents are all around the speech, and kind of get them, handed over to Ripple. Ripple have those now, and we're looking at seeing them get disclosed to the public, which will basically really show in a transparent way just how corrupt the SEC is. The speech was made by the former official about cryptocurrencies back in 2018. However, the SEC will not be able to use these documents in its currency case with Ripple. Reacting to the news development, Bill Morgan asserts that the judge's ruling highlights the growth and proves that she is more, or has become more, informed about Ripple than she was previously. And I think this is quite an interesting thing to kind of, take a little dive down into that rabbit hole. So Morgan states that Judge Torres has an even more profound understanding of Ripple's past and current business structures. In addition to that, Morgan believes that Ripple was previously more aligned with institutions, and as well as the sale of XRP in a programmatic manner. And so the tweet went out like this. The decision yesterday shows Judge Torres has informed herself considerably about Ripple's past and current business. She seems well aware that Ripple's business in the past involved institutional and programmatic sales of XRP, but now is based on sales to ODL customers. And these are some interesting kind of things and development-wise, right? So notably, Judge Torres had a different view on the past institutional and programmatic sales of XRP, which Ripple could not show that public access would have a negative impact on its present and future business. And so the judge also didn't really allow room for redactions. Now, Morgan also does not think that the sale of XRP to ODL customers will be troubling to the judge or even the SEC. So to quote, it kind of reads like this: not reading too much into this, but not getting a strong feeling that sales of XRP to ODL customers are troubling the judge or the SEC. After all, given the nature of the use of XRP in ODL, it really doesn't seem to satisfy any part of the Howey test. And if sales of XRP for use in Ripple's ODL product are not investment contracts, then XRP itself cannot be a security. Past institutional sales of XRP may be different, he concluded. And it's reasonable to kind of look at that. We take a look at some of the really early stuff going on, and you can say, okay, well, if you're selling it to an institutional investor and those investors are investing in XRP on the belief that, the efforts of Ripple and what they're trying to do is going to turn XRP into an appreciative asset, then you could obviously apply Howey test to that. Whereas when you start thinking about retail investors and the secondary market, or you start thinking about ODL, it really doesn't really stand up very well in trying to think about, what what XRP is and all that kind of good stuff. So what about price action? Well, in the last few videos, I've been talking about this need for a push to the upside. We were looking for a move and a pump to the upside. Now, we were talking about potentially pushing up towards that 58 range, or 58 to 60 cent range. And unfortunately, it does not look like this is something that we should be thinking anymore. It looks like all we've done here is test the higher ranges of our parallel channel. And so we've had about 15.98% growth. So it's great that we were able to kind of capture hold of these things. But for the most part, it doesn't give me great confidence in thinking that we have more upside here just yet. Instead, I think it's more likely that we're going to start retracing back down, and we're still going to be looking to come into these lower ranges, which again was an option from the previous videos as well. So you can see here, we've just tested on equilibrium, and we could be possibly be thinking about coming down into these lower ranges, take out the fair value gap that you see down here, this being 39.13 through to about 40.72, and then potentially just come down into a internal buy order block, which is all the way down here. Okay, so that kind of starts anything lower than 38 cents and comes down to about 34 cents. So I don't think we have to go down right away in an instantaneous kind of move to the downside. But looking at this thing, it looks like we have a requirement to come down a little bit deeper at the moment. We'll see how this kind of goes. If we want to get a break out of this channel, really we're going to be looking for closed positions above equilibrium. So we're talking about 48 cents, close above 48 cents, or more specifically, if we can close above 48.1 cents, then I think the bulls will have a little bit more of a chance to take this up to a little bit higher, and we might be able to get that breakout a little bit sooner. Unfortunately, I think we're seeing rejection right now from equilibrium. We're finding very brief support on this 50 EMA. So we'll see how price reacts to that. But essentially, it does look like we're probably going to have to break down just a fraction more here on the smart money concepts. Now, I do want to kind of highlight that we still have a weak high and a strong low. So I'm not really thinking that we have to come down and break that 34.73 cent low. Just thinking that we have to have probably another retest of our trend here before we maybe go after that weak high point. Ultimately, equilibrium is going to dictate what happens here. We are in a bullish structure still. We can see our break of structures and our change of character here. None of that has changed on our daily time frame. So all of that is looking pretty good. It's literally just a case of we're getting rejected from these key areas right now. So we expect natural kind of profits to be taken and pull back in the market just slightly. We're overbought on the daily, so we are looking for progression to the downside. But if I bring this to our weekly, we can see we have not terribly too much more to go to the downside there. The monthly is progressing upwards. That is a concern to me, so we'll keep a close eye on that one. But overall, on our daily time frame, yeah, I'm kind of thinking rejection from equilibrium at the moment. Anything above 48.1 though would give us an idea that maybe we just have some kind of three wave right in here, something to this effect. Does not really negate the fact that we probably do have to have a breakdown again at some point though, specifically because of our overbought area on our daily chart. Now, obviously, building this in, this is kind of where we were thinking. We were looking for this Z wave move upwards, which was going to take us between 59 and 64 cents. And it's still possible that this plays out. The only way that this kind of voids is if we go down lower than that 34.73, and then at that point we can kind of get a different range and different target associated with this one. But for now we can see that we consolidated in this range up here. This was kind of as expected. At the moment we are just looking for this little move to the upside here. I'm just going to pull this in a little bit so we can kind of see it right in there. And we are of course in the lower highs and lower lows, and these do have that tendency to break upwards. It's overall 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 in my opinion, which is still corrective, and I think from here we can probably pull back quite nicely before we move up. The other thing that's possible here is that we have ourselves an expanding diagonal structure, which would be very, very bullish over a longer time period. So if I go ahead and draw this in, just so you can kind of see, we would have this idea of an expanding that would require this Z wave to go up significantly higher. It would have to be the longest wave. So wave W would be the shortest, wave 3 would be not the shortest. We can have overlap with wave 1 and wave 4, and then that what is currently a Z wave would have to be the largest wave. It would have to be quite a significant surge upwards. So that would be fantastic. It wouldn't necessarily negate the idea that we're not going to come down, because we probably will. But if it is an expanding diagonal that we see here, then that's going to set us up in a really bullish way further down the line. So as we kind of look at this on the daily chart, that's something that I want to be really mindful of, because although this can be a WXY XZ, it can also be that expanding diagonal based structure. And if that is the case, then I think we're going to see some really fantastic runs in the future for XRP, and the price action I think is going to really surprise a lot of people. Now, from our kind of weekly time frame, we can see that we did get rejected from what is a supply range. This was previously a demand range. So again, there's nothing terribly too unusual here. On our weekly time frame, we are getting rejected on our 200 EMA right here, and also that 50 EMA is not helping things. So it does look like we are going to be getting a little bit further to the downside before we get that move to the upside. But that being said, the XRP community, any kind of fundamental news about the lawsuit could potentially change this quite dramatically, and we could see a pretty significant run to the upside very, very fast. The next key areas for me really are going to be up here at 86 cent to $1.02. That range is going to be also an area of previous resistance that we'll look to try to tackle over, and hope the bulls can get a close position above that range. That would put us in a really strong position to start talking about the next range, which would be $1.31 to $1.41, and then once we're past that, we're $1.55 to $1.96. Get past that resistance, and I think we're flying at that point. So for the most part, XRP seems to be pretty well positioned on our weekly time frame. Stochastic RSI is correcting. The monthly, though, the monthly is concerning me just a little bit, and the concerns here are that we see ourselves approaching this overbought area, and we're not really doing terribly too much in terms of price action right now. So we've risen this up, and yeah, that to me is a concern. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how this goes. It's not the be all and end all, of course. We can still get fantastic green candles even whilst we're correcting down. So just a note here that this is more of an indication of the weakness in the push to the upside at the moment on the monthly time frame more than anything else. And again, the weekly really is the main focus for me at the moment on XRP. Be interesting to kind of see how that one plays out. Expect a bit of a move to the upside over the next few months or so, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, for the most part, things are looking pretty interesting on XRP. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those 𝗕𝗙𝗪𝗏 documents out in the public, so we can all see just how bad the SEC really are. And if you found this useful, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.